Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Oh my word, we just experienced the most powerful day one of our Made for More workshop today, and you guys, it was incredible. This is my most attended, most sought after, most anticipated workshop of the year, and you do not want to miss this. We are going to play for you part of the workshop from today, and if you're listening when this podcast comes out on Thursday, January 8th, it's not too late to join us, so just head to ediewadsworthcoaching.com/more. Most people don't actually experience a new year. They experience the same year with a different number on the calendar. And in fact, so many women that I coach tell me that they don't experience new days. They experience some form of Groundhog Day. They feel like they're just repeating the same day over and over. The same mental patterns, the same emotional patterns, the same thoughts, the same quiet feeling that they were made for more but aren't quite living into it yet. And here's why. You don't experience your life as it is. You experience your life through the thoughts, through identity, and through the story that you're living inside of. So in today's episode, I'm teaching that exact framework in the Made for More workshop, the foundation of how to stop living in default mode, break free from problem-focused thinking, and reconnect with the truest, most alive version of yourself. We talk about why your brain is wired to focus on problems and survival, and how that quietly crowds out your joy, your creativity, your desire, your sense of wonder, and how your thoughts shape not just your emotional life, but who you actually become. This episode is not about fixing yourself, it's about remembering who you are. Because your true self already has a miracle mindset. Your true self already knows that the future is bright and hopeful, and your true self is still very much alive, no matter how long she's been buried under responsibility or pressure or survival. So if you've been feeling tired, stuck, uninspired, or like you've lost touch with your dreams, this is where things begin to shift. Open your heart and let's begin. Here's the thing. Before we get into all of the teaching that I've got for you, and it's so good, you guys, I want to tell you this. I am so proud of you for being here, for investing in yourself, for investing the time to be here for these 3 days. Even if you came here, even if you had a morning like I did, you guys, listen, I just went to Big Sky with my family, and one of my little grandbabies was sick, and I came home with a cold. And when I woke up this morning, I thought to myself, I don't know how I'm going to teach live, but I have been taking such good care of myself all morning. I gave myself a good morning, took all the supplements, got myself ready, and then my internet went out. So even if you had the kind of morning that I did, you're feeling behind, you don't even know exactly what you want, you're like, I'm not even sure why I showed up here. I want to tell you something. Just you showing up here today tells me something about you. There is part of you that knows you were not created to live your life on repeat, because I'm going to tell you something. Most people don't live a new year. They live the same year over and over and over and over again. And you're here because you don't want to do that. You want it to actually be a new year. And I'm so honored to be doing it with you. And I don't take it lightly that you're giving us your time and attention and money and honestly, your hope for a new year. And you're not going to be disappointed. Over these 3 days, you're going to learn how to shift out of living in default mode, where your brain is wired for problems, to live in survival. And we are going to shift that to have you living in creation mode, where you live from possibility and desire and emotional power and your true identity. And I promise you, if you practice what I'm going to teach you here these 3 days, you will absolutely create your best year yet. I know this because so many of my clients do it. I'm not the only one. So many of my clients have learned how to live this way, and living this way has changed the trajectory of their lives in every single way. Their health, their relationships, their jobs, in so many ways. Most people try to change with goals and resolutions, but I'm going to tell you something. And I set resolutions for years. I'm a January baby. It was just my birthday. I knit myself the most lovely hat while I was on the airplane coming back from Big Sky, Montana. This was my birthday present to myself, you guys. I love the new year. I love January. I even love resolutions. But for years, it didn't work for me. And I would just try harder to keep changing my behavior, but I didn't get to the root of things, my identity, my thinking patterns, the stories I was telling myself, my emotional patterns. So in Made for More, we're going to help you change from the inside out. We're not going to start with what should I do in the new year. We're going to start with what am I believing? Who am I being? What story am I living inside of? What limiting beliefs do I have that are keeping me stuck? I promise you, you don't need a stricter plan. You need a new relationship with yourself and your life. So, whether you realize it or not, one sentence has been shaping your last year. And probably, if you're like most women in midlife, your last 5 years, your last 10 years. And it might sound something like this is just a hard season. I'll focus on my own stuff later. My best days are behind me. I feel so stuck. I don't really know what I want. So I want you to tell me what has been your one sentence. Maybe there's several of them, but for most of us there's basically one sneaky little sentence that we've been living by that's not giving us the life we want. That's not giving us the inner experience of our own life that we love. That doesn't have us living from our dreams and hopes and possibilities and desires. So what's your one sentence? If you had to sum it up, what have you secretly, silently been thinking to yourself? I'm never going to get this weight off. I'm never going to be happy again. That kind of life is for those people. Whatever it is, that sentence is so powerful. And for most of us, you're not choosing it on purpose. It floats into your mind. And because you start to believe it and you look around your life and you find evidence for it, you just keep holding on to it and you keep believing it. And then year after year, it feels like you're not living a new year. You're living the same year over and over and over again. That sentence feels really true to you. And I promise you it's not. I promise you it's a thought, it's a sentence, and we're going to rewrite it today. So stick with me because this is going to blow your mind, you guys. Here's the thing. We are going to give you such a glorious vision of your next season, of your next year, of your next 90 days that you'll be ready to start living in this new way with this new perspective immediately. And not only that, we're going to show you on Friday our tried and true 90-day process for how to do it. So I want you to imagine walking away from these 3 days, no longer living in reaction to your life, no longer living in default mode where you're living in survival, where it's the same Groundhog Day over and over again, but really rooted in your truest self, mentally and emotionally strong and free and awake and alive to the dreams and possibilities that have been waiting for you for so long. When you do that, it gives you a different relationship with yourself. You stop waking up like bracing for the day. Your desires come back, not as pressure, but just as a knowing, like, yes, this is what I want. You start to remember what you want. You feel safe enough to start dreaming again. Your days are no longer fueled by survival and obligation, but by creativity and passion and fire and intention. You might still be doing a lot of the same things, but you experience them differently. You're less reactive and more grounded. You notice the miracles around you. You feel joy again. And from that place, everything shifts. How you show up to yourself, how you show up to the other people in your life, how you lead your own life, how you work, how you move toward your dreams. And not because things in your life changed overnight, but because your perspective of your life changed overnight. And that is what happens to women in this workshop. You start to remember what you really want. And maybe importantly, you remember who you are. And this is what's possible when you stop trying to white knuckle a better life and you learn how to live from your highest thoughts, your deepest desires, and your emotional power. So I want you to tell me in the chat if you're ready. I want you to type in the words, all in. If you are as all in for this day as I am, I want you to type it in the chat. I'm so excited. Listen, I bet just in the first 10 minutes, you feel it already. You feel a shift. That's how powerful this work is. And that's how powerful it is to be in a community of women who all together are deciding no more survival living. That's what we're deciding today. We're going to live in our highest thoughts, our highest desires, our emotional power. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to learn some things today about how you are made. I'm a physician. By the way, I haven't even introduced myself. Some of you, this is your first workshop with me, and I haven't even introduced myself. I'm Dr. Edie Wadsworth, by the way. It's such my honor to meet you, to be here with you today. I started my career as a family physician years ago. I quit my job to homeschool my kids and ended up blogging, you guys. And from blogging, I got a book deal and wrote a memoir called All the Pretty Things that basically, I don't know, catapulted me into a different way of living, a whole different life where I became a writer, a speaker. And then because that book about killed me to write about my past, I started getting some counseling and coaching, and I discovered life coaching. And I got certified, you guys. I gave up my medical career and became a life coach. And I've been coaching women for years. I coach women in my community called Life Mentoring School. I train Christian life coaches in a program called the Life Mentoring School Certification Program. And I just started this past year, a master coach training program. So I have several different programs. I love helping women come alive to their lives. I love helping them rediscover their dreams, their joys, their passions, and going all in on themselves. So if you're all in today, let me know in the chat. And we're going to start with our little bit of science about our brains. There are essentially two parts of your brain for purposes of what we're doing here. You have your default brain, and this part of your brain is wired to scan the environment for problems. It looks for what's wrong. It's trying to keep you safe. It tries to protect you from danger. And it loves efficiency and it loves habit. So if you've ever told yourself you're bad at habits, you're actually not. Your brain is wired for habits, and it does habits without you even thinking about it or knowing. The problem is a lot of times the habits that we've wired into our brains are habits that aren't giving us the life that we love. This part of your brain is wired for survival. Your default brain, it's very loud, it's very convincing. You have another part of your brain called your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain that can pause, that can observe your thoughts, that can choose intentionally what it wants to believe and think about, that can imagine an amazing future, that's creative and loving and kind, that can override these default reactions. This is the part of you that creates. And when we talk about living by design, it's that part of your brain we're talking about. Now, most of us, I would say, 93% of people in the world are living in their default brain, in survival mode. So say yes in the chat if you know 100%, that's me. I'm living in survival mode. I'm living in my default brain. I'm reacting to life. I'm not observing my thoughts. I'm not taking that pause. I'm not responding the way I want to. A lot of times I'm living in a lot of stress and a lot of overwhelm. That's the way most of us are living. Now, imagine this on a random Tuesday. You wake up on a random Tuesday, and immediately, before you can even get out of bed, your mind is already focused on problems. You're already thinking about things in your life that aren't going right. You already kind of feel bad on the inside. You feel disappointed. You feel a little bitterness. You feel a little rejected. You feel, for some of us, even a little sadness or despair. And you just woke up. You feel tired. Your mind immediately goes to things that are wrong in your life, to people who aren't treating you well, to bills that are due, to the things that you forgot, to the wrong things that you said, to what people need from you. You're brushing your teeth and you're thinking about problems. You're making your coffee and you're already dreading the day. You're driving, scrolling, packing lunches, maybe just thinking about problems. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow, but the emotional toll that living like this takes on us is literally exhausting, you guys. It exhausts us to constantly think about the things that are wrong. And yet, this is how our survival brains are wired. And you think to yourself, if I could just get through the day, if I could just get through the day and get back home. Then when you get back home, it doesn't really get that much better. You're just now thinking about a different set of problems. Somebody's homework, relationships that have kind of gone sideways, all kinds of things. This is how our brains are wired. And there's one more truth I want to share with you about this. When this is your focus, when these problems kind of crowd your mind and you focus on them, and a lot of times it's not just that we're focusing on them, we're ruminating on them. I used to do this with my past, and I would just ruminate on things that happened in my past. And what happens is those thoughts and those beliefs that you're ruminating on, those problems that you keep thinking about over and over again, are not benign. They are powerful. Thoughts are powerful. Thoughts become things. And when you ruminate on thoughts like that, over time, those thoughts morph into your life. They become the way you experience your own life. Your experience of your life can never be better than your thoughts about your life. I want to say this again. Your experience of your life can never be better than your thoughts about it. Your experience of your spouse can never be better than your thoughts about your spouse. Your experience of your job can never be better than your thoughts about your job. Your experience of your health and your body can never be better than your thoughts about it. So when someone says, "Oh, nothing's really wrong, but something feels off for me," this is usually why. It's not necessarily that things have changed on the outside, but our inner commentary so easily switches toward problems, pressure, fear, limitation, scarcity. And this isn't because you're doing something wrong. This is how your default brain works. Your brain is constantly scanning for what's wrong and what's dangerous because it's trying to keep you safe. And the thing of it is, the thoughts that you think, those problems that you're focusing on, you're not just describing your life, they're shaping how you experience your life. So when you think to yourself for a long time, "Oh, this is really hard. I'm in a hard season. This feels overwhelming." You know what you create in a week or a month? You just create more overwhelm. And it doesn't mean that there aren't actual problems in the world, because we all know there are. What it means is that when that becomes the focus of your life, that becomes the experience of your life. Thoughts don't just shape your feelings in the moment, they shape your reality. They shape who you become. They quietly, you guys, build your identity. What you think about yourself determines what you believe is possible for you, what kind of life you're allowed to have, how much joy you can have, how much rest. Your thoughts influence even stuff like the foods that you eat. You're secretly thinking thoughts right now that are shaping everything about your life. And if your thought is, "I'm never going to get healthy again," guess what kind of food you're going to choose? Food that's not healthy, because your brain wants to be in agreement with itself. And those sneaky thoughts are literally shaping the way you experience your life. They influence how you move your body, what conversations you have, what rooms you walk into, what dreams you dismiss before they even form in your mind. And this is why two women can live exactly the same life, but experience it differently. They could have the same marriage, the same job, the same house. One feels trapped and the other feels grateful and curious. And the difference isn't the life that they're living. The difference is their thinking about the life they're living. And when you repeat the same thoughts long enough, they stop feeling like thoughts. They just feel true. And you look around your life and you find so much evidence for them. So listen, if I didn't have a powerful mindset, you guys, I probably wouldn't have shown up today because there was so much evidence that I wasn't supposed to do this today. There was so much evidence that so many things were going wrong. And I just decided, I had a peace in my heart. I'm like, somehow it'll work out how it's supposed to. And that comes from practice. And I'm going to teach you how to do it. But I want you to first see it, because the biggest way to stop doing it is to become aware of it, is to see like, oh, I am doing that. So those thoughts then become like your personality, your identity. I'm just not disciplined. I'm bad with money. I've never been lucky. I'm not the kind of person who follows through. I'm not organized. I used to tell myself forever, you guys, that I was just messy. I had a story in my head because I'm like a creative. And as you can tell, I love color and I like, doing creative things and making messes. And I just had this story about myself for the longest time that I was just messy. And so, guess what you create when the story about who you are is that you're messy? You create a lot of messes. And I've been able to change that thought. And you can change yours too. Once something becomes your identity, your brain works hard to keep proving it true, not because you're broken, but because your brain is really good at doing what it does. It wants to keep doing the same thing because that's more efficient, even if that same thing is not giving you the life you want. But here's the miracle, and this is why the work that we're going to do over this 3 days matters so much. If thoughts shape your identity, then practicing new thoughts reshape it. Not overnight, but over time. And this is why living from your true self feels so different. I'm going to talk to you about true self in a minute, but true self isn't governed by this fear-based overwhelm, living in survival mode. Your true self is governed by truth and love. And we're going to get back to her. She's in there, I promise. But your experience of your life will never rise above the thoughts you practice about it. So we're going to start practicing new thoughts today. Now, let me tell you what happens when you live like this. When your mind is so focused on everything that's wrong with you, wrong with the world, wrong with everyone. When your brain, that default brain, is running the show, it crowds out other parts of you. It crowds out your desires. There's no room left. That's why most women that I meet, you guys, in my workshops tell me they don't even know what they want. And I know what has happened when they tell me that. What they want has been crowded out by problems and stress and loss and so many things. It crowds out your desires, your dreams, your creativity, your playfulness, your joy, your whimsy, your sense of wonder. Anybody here feel that? You're like, "Oh, yeah, I have lost that. I've lost that sense of fun and joy and creativity in my own life." And it's not that those things are gone. It's just that when you're living in survival, you don't need those to survive. So your brain crowds those out. And your brain keeps telling you, no, focus on this problem. Focus on what he did wrong. Let's go on the internet and get mad at a bunch of people on there. Let's focus on the really important things. But the truth of it is, your life becomes what you focus on. And a life and a brain focused on problems doesn't have bandwidth for joy and love and creativity and connection and delight. And that, my friends, is what we were created by God to enjoy. That's why he gave us another part of our brain that can override this default brain. So if you recognize yourself when I gave that example of a random Tuesday and you said, yeah, that's me, just know that, yeah, that's who you've been practicing being. But that's not the end of the story. That has maybe become part of your personality. I know one of the things that lots of people say over and over and over again is, I'm tired. Just type the word. Now, I don't even want you to type it in the chat. Just put a 1 in the chat if you're guilty of saying something like this. Oh, I'm just tired. Oh, I don't feel good. Uh, I just don't have the energy I used to have. You know what you create when you say that over and over again? You create a lot of tired because your brain wants to be right. And I promise you, that's not the life that you want to be creating. And all of this is changeable. And let me tell you the truth. As soon as you notice your brain doing it, you're already starting to change. As soon as you notice it, as soon as you notice, like, oh my gosh, I do say that all the time. Oh, yeah, I do find myself doing that. As soon as you notice it and become aware of it, there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And it's the part of your brain that you don't notice a car, a certain kind of car, until you get one. And then you go, oh my gosh, well, it turns out everybody is driving this car. I notice it all over the place now. And that part of your brain is active not just with cars, but with thoughts. And so when you notice yourself thinking thoughts that I don't want my life to be defined by being exhausted or being tired. And as soon as I catch myself saying that over and over, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my brain doing its thing. Now, here's what you don't want to do with all of this, you guys. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to heap on a bunch of guilt and shame because you've been doing this. You've been doing this because you're a human. You've been doing this because life is hard and there are problems and it's easy to do this. And everybody does this. Don't heap on a bunch of shame. What you need to do is have grace for yourself and go, oh, yeah, I can see how I got kind of buried underneath all those problems. Yeah, they were pretty bad at the time, but I don't want to keep living there. And so you start to notice it. You don't fight it. You don't shame yourself. You don't argue with it. You just let that thought float on by. And that really is the first step to deciding what you want to believe about your life, what you want to create in your life. And over time, even without trying, if you just start to notice when your brain does this, it will automatically start creating a different life for you. Now, I will tell you this: a life focused on problems is a life that is not going to be enjoyable. Now, let me be very clear. We are not going to gaslight ourselves and tell ourselves that we don't have any problems. I'm not one of those coaches that is like, I mean, I'm kind of Pollyanna, but I'm not totally Pollyanna. I'm not one of those coaches that says there are no problems, right? But I do think because there are things in my life that feel like problems to me, and I don't want to gaslight myself and pretend like they don't. What I don't want to do is have a life focused on them. Okay? So I want to be clear. I'm not saying that there aren't hard things in your life, that there aren't challenges. But here's what I want you to know about these problems or challenges. And I wrote about this in my first book, All the Pretty Things, because I had a lot of challenges. I had abuse and trauma and sexual abuse and all kinds of things that were problems that felt really hard to overcome. Here's what I realize. And for those of you who are in a hard place right now, I want to tell you something important. I really do believe the degree to which those problems are difficult and challenging is the degree to which your life can become the most beautiful masterpiece. Because what those problems do for us is they show us what we don't want. They provide a lot of contrast in our lives, right? So I grew up and I had some also amazing things that happened in my life, but a lot of hard things. And I learned early on, here's what I don't want. Here's what I don't want in a father. Here's what I don't want for my family. Here's what I don't want for my own children. I just learned a lot of things that I didn't want. And so a lot of us can say, like, I feel kind of dead inside. I'm not sure what I want, but we know what we don't want, right? And that's a clue to what you want. And so I learned early on a lot of things that I didn't want. And as I learned these coaching tools, I learned that even those hard and challenging and sometimes devastating things, God would twist and use for my good, and they would become a stepping stone to me creating the most amazing, miraculous life that I never could have imagined. So even if your life, if there are things happening for you right now where you're like, no, quantifiably, this is hard. This is a problem. I get it. But every beautiful masterpiece has light and shadow. It's shaped by contrast. If you look at all the superhero movies, they were, you know, all the best movies that we watch, you guys, are from people who have gone through really hard things and overcome them and so many obstacles. So don't use your problems as a reason not to create the life you want. Use them as a reason to create the life you want. Decide that you do know what you want because you know what you don't. So if your sentence has been, I feel invisible in my own life, that's a common one for us women in midlife. What you really want is connection. If your sentence has been, I feel stuck, what you really want is some movement in your life. You want a new year. You don't want the same Groundhog Day. If your sentence has been, I'm exhausted, what you really want is vitality and fire and passion again, energy. If your sentence has been, I feel numb to my own life, what you really want is to feel alive. Your desire has been there the whole time, speaking to you through problems and challenges. And when you start focusing on what you want to create instead of what you don't want to keep creating, your life will start to shift. And this brings us to something really powerful. This brings us to true and false self. This is a concept that I teach in my programs, but I want to touch on it here because it's a really powerful concept. When you're living your default life and you're living in overwhelm and stress and you're living from old stories and limiting beliefs and self sabotage. We call that living from your false self. Your false self isn't bad or fake, it's just protective. And underneath that false kind of exterior, sometimes we call it the ego, is who you really are at your core. The part of you governed by love, created for joy and connection and meaning and purpose. And that false self loves to live in survival mode. She's going to protect you at all cost. She's not bad or wrong. She's the part of you that developed in response to maybe your childhood. Maybe you had a childhood like mine. I'm going to tell you how my false self developed from trauma, from loss, from disappointment, from needing to be strong. And that false self is going to focus on problems till the cows come home. Problems are urgent to her. She's vigilant. She's going to keep you safe. She's ready to pounce on people. She's practical because dreaming is risky. She doesn't want you to fail, so she keeps you protected and small. That false self wants to manage you, hold things together, get through the day, fix things. She's rarely fully present, but man, she's a mama bear. She's going to protect. She loves survival mode. And you can just type false self in the chat if any of that sounds familiar. And listen, God loves your false self. We love your false self. Let me tell you something about my false self. I learned early on in my life that nobody was going to protect me, that I was going to have to protect myself. And I can remember being a little 8-year-old second grader. And I became such a little overachiever. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to be the best I can be. I'm going to be so good that nobody can hurt me. I'm going to be so good that nobody can tell me no. And I learned how to be a committed overachiever. I worked harder than anybody else. I performed. I learned to live on praise and approval. I remember when I was little, when I was in, I think it was probably second or third grade, our family couldn't afford gymnastics, and all my little friends were taking gymnastics. So I I would make all of my friends teach me their gymnastics moves on the playground. And I would go home, you guys, and I would do gymnastics from the time I got home from school till it got dark outside. And then I would come in my little room and I would practice my back handsprings on my bed. I was determined. I'm going to get good at this, even if I can't take lessons. And I got good. I got good at everything. I succeeded in school. I got all kinds of awards. My false self got me into medical school, you guys. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college, and definitely the first person to ever go to medical school. And I got good at being good. And I got addicted to approval and achievement and validation. And I let everybody else tell me if I was okay. And let me tell you something about that part of me. I love her. I'm so thankful for her. She did what she had to do to get me to where she got me. And she worked hard, and I'm thankful for her. You don't have to be mean to your false self. You can genuinely say, thank you for getting me here. But at some point, I realized that the real me inside didn't need to fight for everybody's approval, didn't need to burn out her adrenal glands to achieve more than anybody else. And I started to learn how to take care of myself in a good way, and how to even rest sometimes, and how to have knitting as a hobby, and how to enjoy wake surfing with my family, and how to have true connected relationships that weren't based on approval and validation. And I could gently say to that overachiever part of me, girl, you did good, but we can take it from here. My true self, the true part of me that understands that I don't need to do all of that to get validation, that I am God's beloved and I'm valuable to Him if I don't do another thing. And I've learned how to stop living for other people's approval. And I've learned how to live more and more as my true self. I remember for the longest time, I have all of these quirky habits, you guys, because I was raised in honky tonks by the craziest dad in the whole world. And I mean, I'm wearing my cowboy boots right now. I love honky tonk music. I love so many quirky things. And I remember always trying to hide those true parts of myself, and not wanting people to know my background, not wanting people to really know my story, not wanting people to know how obsessed I am with line dancing and honky tonk music. And listen, in the last few years, I've gone all in. You come to one of my live events, I'm going to teach you how to line dance. We're going to play some honky tonk music. We're going to sing Redneck Woman at the top of our lungs. And I've done that over time by practicing the things we're talking about today, by recognizing, oh, my little overachiever self is trying to come out again. And I can just reassure her, no, I got this. It's okay to be who we really are. It's okay to not operate from that fixer, that achiever, that people pleaser, that perfectionist that we grew up as. It's okay to be who we really are. And I promise you, when you learn to live as your true self, who's governed by love and joy and gratefulness, who's not comparing herself to other people, who comes into a room and is comfortable in her own skin and makes other people comfortable, and it's easy to connect, and she's vulnerable and she can share her heart. Like, that true self part of you is who is going to take you into the next season and into the new year. And I want to say this as clearly as I can. There's no shame in what got you here. If your life required you to be strong and vigilant, then you can thank her for that. But living your life as your true self, with your highest thoughts, with your own emotional power, instead of delegating it to other people, living with your desires and your dreams instead of living with your problems, I promise you, not only is it how you're created to thrive, but it will give you a life that you enjoy from the inside out. My life used to look good on the outside, but I wasn't enjoying it on the inside because I was living for my false self, always scanning the room. Are people approving of me? Am I getting what I need? And what I've learned to do now is enjoy my life from the inside out. Enjoy being me, enjoying the quirky things about me, the part of me that loves honky tonk dancing, the part of me that loves a whole day sitting in my bed knitting, the part of me that loves wake surfing and being outside, the part of me that is quirky. And I promise you, that part of you, that real part of you is in there. She's been in there the whole time. And your true self has a mindset, which I call the miracle mindset. Now, right now, your mindset has probably been governed by problems. It's like the reactive mindset, it's the closed mindset. Things are the way they are and they're never going to change. How many times have I heard people say that? People just don't change. I beg to differ. People actually do change. They do it all the time in my program. And that's called a growth mindset or a miracle mindset. And that's the kind of mindset that your true self has. And it's not because she ignores reality or because she denies that there are problems in the world. It's because she sees challenges and problems and still believes in goodness. She holds pain and still sees beauty. She trusts that something meaningful is always unfolding in her life, even if she can't see it. When you're living from your true self, so much more becomes available to you. You laugh more easily. You feel your life instead of feeling numb. You start listening to your life. And I promise you this shift from false self to true self that we're going to start making today, that you've probably already started making, because just hearing what you heard today, you start shifting. You can't help it because that true self is in there and she's powerful and she's loving and present and joyful and kind. And she loves her life, but she's been covered over and clouded by problems, by focusing on things that are always going to be there, but are never going to give her the life she wants. And I want us to get a peek at her today. I want us to make room for her to express herself today. That part of you where joy is accessible, where love flows, where miracles are welcomed. I remember when I was growing up, you guys, we had, I grew up in the 70s. It was a crazy time. And I can remember times when, we would be visiting our grandparents' house trailer where they lived, and there would literally be no food in the refrigerator. I remember looking in the refrigerator one time, and there was a box of lard in the bottom of the refrigerator, and I don't know, maybe a bottle of ketchup or something. I don't even think there was that. But I can just remember, like, there not being anything. I can remember times when there's, like, the lights weren't on. And I live the most amazing, miraculous life. Today, when I open my fridge, there's kombucha and there's Ningxia Red and there's Pellegrino. And Lila, that works here with me, made me some green juice today because I came down with this cold. And I live in this beautiful, warm house, and I can do things like knit, and like my life is like a miracle. That's what I'm talking about. That's what your true self notices. It's not just a personality upgrade, it's a homecoming to who you really are, who you already are. You don't have to work to be her. You just have to remove the things that are clouding you from seeing it. So, because I had very ingrained mindset to look for problems because of the way I grew up, I had to do more work at this than maybe some people. And so, what I did a few years ago is every day for a solid year, I wrote down in my planner, everywhere I look, I see miracles. I wrote it down every day for a year. And what I started to notice is so I noticed so many miracles. I noticed my whole life felt like a miracle. I would spend Fridays with my grandbabies, and I would notice the way my little the little baby's pudgy little hand, how their fingers are so they look like little sausages. And I would notice my little Tommy boy. I'll tell you more of his story tomorrow, but I noticed our little Tommy boy and just the light in his eye that didn't used to be there. I saw things, just the way my coffee would steam. Literally everything, everywhere I looked, I saw miracles. That's the power of your mind and your thoughts. And you know what happens when you practice a thought like that over and over and over and over again? Your whole life changes. Your energy comes back. Your desires come back. Your dreaming comes back. And tomorrow, we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about what happens when you come back online to yourself. We're going to talk about where your energy went, why your desires have felt muted, and why dreaming has felt dangerous to you. And tomorrow, we're getting it back. We're going to bring your energy back. Today, we're bringing your true self back, and it takes some time, but I want you to go there with me. I want to finish with this, you guys. Have you ever heard of, like, with your weight, you have a set point with your weight? Like, there's a certain weight at which your body likes to come back to. Well, I think there's an identity set point that we set for ourselves when we were younger, that this is the kind of life we're going to have. This is as happy as we can be. How much joy you allow yourself, what you believe is realistic for you, what you're allowed to even want. We have a set point. It's called our identity set point. And I want you to elevate that today. Most of us set that because of our childhood, because of things people told us, because of relationships, because of trauma, because of disappointment. Without realizing it, we started living inside these invisible rules of this is just how life is for me. I should be grateful. I shouldn't want more. But here's the good news. Identity set points can be upgraded by deciding consciously who you really are and who you are becoming and what kind of life you want to create for yourself. And that identity set point comes from your thinking, the thoughts that you think all the time. So if you're open to having it upgraded, I want you to type upgrade in the chat. If you're open to an identity upgrade this week, where you start living into your true self, who already has a miracle mindset, who already believes anything is possible for her, who already believes everywhere she looks, she sees miracles. If you're ready for that, I promise you it'll start today. You start practicing, and I'm going to give you some homework for today. Maybe not homework. Let's call it a little practice for today. And I want you to come into the Facebook group and practice it with us. Here's your day one practice. Number one, I want you to tell us the sentence that governed 2025 for you. If you had to give it a title, that secret sentence that was governing your year of 2025, I want you to tell us. You're going to write it down. You can tell us in the chat if you want. And team, I'm ready for those giveaways, by the way. And then you're going to rewrite that sentence. The easiest way to rewrite it is just to do the opposite. Just write the opposite of it. I want you to rewrite it, and I want you to practice it today. Second part of your homework, of your practice today, is I want you to start noticing the miracles. I want you to start noticing the little things all around you. Maybe somebody gives you a little smile. Maybe you took a good deep breath and boy, that felt amazing. A tiny kindness from somebody, the way the sun sets, the way your hot tea tastes this afternoon. Whatever it is, I want you to start noticing the miracles. You're going to write those down. You're going to write down a few miracles and share them with us today. And that is going to be the start. You guys, we're only on day one. This is day one. Tomorrow, we're going to go from that miracle mindset to how do we get that translated into energy in our bodies? because if we're going to wake up to our desires and live out our dreams, we got to have energy for it. So tomorrow we're getting the energy back. And then Friday is all the icing on the cake. We're going to give you the plan. So do not miss this live. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Team, tell me who these winners are. Don't leave us. You can put the style guide in the chat. Style guide in the chat. And then we're going to pin it to the top. So Katie, can you put that in there and pin it to the very top comment so we can get these amazing ladies their style guide? And then let's get, oh, while we're picking our giveaways, by the way, girls, I don't think we're going to do that today. We're going to do it tomorrow. Testimonial is going to be tomorrow. The winner for today is Jamie Monday. Jamie Monday wins a 1-month membership in Life Mentoring School, where this is what we do all year round. So if you love this community, you guys, you should be hoping that you win this LMS. LMS is Life Mentoring School. It's my coaching program. We're doing a 1-month giveaway today, a 3-month giveaway tomorrow, and a year-long giveaway on Friday. We're going to tell you a little more about Life Mentoring School tomorrow, so don't worry. Style guide is posted. Let me see if Katie's got it posted. Is it posted? Is it pinned to the chat? Style guide. Let me ask them. I think it is. I love you so much, you guys. I have thoroughly enjoyed spending today with you. Style guide is posted and pinned to the very top. Let's see what my team just said. Yes, it's posted. It's pinned to the top. Go grab it. We will be posting it every day live for you. And you're going to love it because, again, even though I've spent so much money on my education, really all y'all want to know is where I got my earrings. So I'm going to tell you. So Style Guide is posted. Tell me in the chat, put a 2 if you plan to be here for day 2 live. Put a 2 in the chat if you're going to be here for day 2 live. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. You do not want to miss tomorrow. So much good stuff. Great science behind our emotional lives. But if you struggle with your emotional life, you do not want to miss tomorrow. It is going to be chock full of good stuff. I can't wait to see you there. I love you so much. I'll see you in the Facebook group later today. Make sure there's more giveaways in the Facebook group, you guys. So make sure you go in there and do your day 1 practice. Okay, I love you so much. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye for now.